Shalom, people of God. Prayer is an important aspect of Christian life. Here are some few questions which can help you reflect about your prayer life. Do you usually experience difficulties in your prayer life? Do you usually find it hard to experience God in your life, especially those moments of difficulty? What happens when you pray so genuinely and your prayer is not answered? The reason why we have saints as our models is because they have, in their concrete situation, they have experienced what we often experience in our life. And through that, they found a way of rising above life's challenges. In this case, St. Therese of the Child Jesus, in our experience of the transformative power of prayer, comes to our aid.
St. Therese of the Child Jesus and the Holy Face gives us a beautiful notion of what prayer entails. She states that prayer is an aspiration of the heart. It's a simple glance directed towards heaven. It's a cry of gratitude and love in the midst of trials as well as joy. It's something supernatural and great which expands my heart and unites me to Jesus. From this we find thoughtful and well-reflected notion of what prayer entails. We get principles such as simplicity, love, joy, gratitude, and union. And this forms the basis of what prayer, based on our experiences, entails. In approaching prayer, we have to embrace a childlike attitude. Just as a child who does not know how to read and simply tells God what he or she wishes without composing beautiful sentences, and God understands. In this kind of approach, we build trust and confidence in God, just as a queen who has free access to the king and does not need any permission to be granted for her in order to pour out what she has in her heart. Whenever we feel difficulties or disinterestedness which creeps in our prayer life, a simple recitation of our Father can nourish our souls and give us great delight. St. Therese used this approach whenever she felt aridities in her mind and she felt the nourishment which comes from God. In our experiences, especially those between the years 1883 to 1886, when she was appointed to be an angel over her companions in the novitiate, the novices identified that St. Therese almost knew everything, and they wondered where she got the answers to all that which they asked her. Now, her response is what gives us how great the power of prayer is in our lives. She informed Mother Prioress that the moment I was given this task, I threw myself over the arms of Jesus, and like a little child, I sought refuge in him, and Jesus simply guided me through my tasks. St. Therese kind of felt that the good Lord granted her all the answers that she needed and all the strength that she needed to carry out and discharge her duties. This we can see how she handled the novices, each differently, as we see differences even in our faces. She handled each soul differently, and she understood that it was impossible for her to carry out these duties by herself, but trusting in the hands of Jesus, With Jesus, the task no longer seemed impossible. The experiences of St. Therese continued to build her trust and confidence in God. In the chapel, an elderly sister by the name Sister Pierre was placed in front of her. And it meant that the infirmarians, 10 minutes before 6, were to take the sister to the refectory to have her meals before her medications and earlier resting to bed. But this particular instance, St. Therese tells us that the infirmarians were busy since most of the nuns were sick. And so she felt the promptings of charity to help Sister Pierre, though she knew that this was a difficult task, as the old nun would not want anyone apart from those charged to do that duty of taking her to the refectory. But through prayer, St. Therese tells us she was able, though with a little resistance, to carry out these duties. With her companions, St. Therese gives us or points to us how powerful prayer helped her. One day at the laundry, her fellow companion splashed water from a dirty handkerchief to her. She tells us that she felt like letting the sister know what she had done, but she decided not to do that or to cause unnecessary commotion. From this, we can see St. Therese, who has understood how charity can do wonders in our lives.
The zeal of a Carmelite is to embrace the whole world with prayer. Brothers and sisters, prayer is not the end. It is a mean towards an end. So what is this end? Jesus in the gospel tells us that a tree is known by its fruit. The fruit, the end of prayer is to be in union with God.